Glad to have you back. It's the Business Daily right here on Trust Television. Of course, we're going to start our conversation right here in the studio, and we're looking at issues around the pension sector. There, nearly 10,000 Nigerians draw pension savings for survival in the third quarter of 2024. That is according to statistics coming from the National Pension Commission. There, it is indeed a major concern, especially when pension savings, a once-distant safety net, has become an immediate lifeline for Nigerians who have lost their job just as unemployment and economic hardship worsen. More and more of these Nigerians have resorted to drawing from their pension savings to meet their day-to-day expenses, indeed putting a lot of pressure on the people and indeed the economy. Of course, we're going to look at the issues around unemployment and of course pension withdrawal today. And be joined in the studio by a pension management professional. He's also an author, Dr. Imran Saheed. Glad to have you on Business Daily.
I'm glad to also be here.
All right, it's always a pleasure having you. Let's begin from here. Nearly 10,000 Nigerians, withdrawing from their pension savings. Pension is meant to be something that we fall back on when we are, old. But we see young Nigerians, because of the issues in the economy, drawing back. What is the implication of this move and decisions?
Just like how you have already said, that currently the economy is biting hard. Perhaps that will have been so much responsible for that. However, whatever withdrawal you want to make from your pension pot or from whatever contributed fund you might have made, it has to be in line with the guidelines from the Apex pension regulator, that is PENCOM, and also in line with the pension reform of 2014. If you want to withdraw, there are 3 or 4 ways by which those that are in service can actually do that. Looking at the guidelines from the regulations that we have. One, if you have a cost to actually go into a building, maybe you want to have your own residential building, there is a provision for that. You can take as much as 25% of the RSA balance, that is retirement savings account balance. The amount you have there, if it is 10 million, you can take as much as 2.5 million to sort out with your residential house that you want to actually have. However, it's not that they will just give you that 2.5 million straight into your account. It has to be through your mortgage provider or mortgage lender. So you get another letter first from your mortgage provider, and then the 25% residential mortgage, that is equity contribution for residential mortgage, will now be paid into your it will be paid to your mortgage lender or account. Okay. So not your own account. That is one provision. Then another one is that if somebody has a loss of job, so there is a temporary access to what you have in your RSA, that is retirement savings account. So if somebody
25%
is also 25%,
some people are saying that it should be increased to at least 50%.
For that one, I think the one they were actually clamoring for was the one of a lump sum. That is, if you have a lump sum to actually, because I'll mention that one when we go. I'm trying to actually break it down into before retirement and after retirement.
Okay, go ahead.
So before retirement, you have an option of engaging with your PFE and get a 5% equity contribution for your residential mortgage. Then the second one is a loss of job. If you lost your job within 4 months, and within that 4 months you couldn't secure a new job, then there is a provision for you to approach your PFE and get a 25% amount from whatever you might have contributed into your RSA. I need to sort yourself out, but that will be after 4 months of loss of job and you couldn't secure any. So that's the second one. The third one is when somebody has a critical health challenge or challenges like a mental disability and all that, then the person is not able to work again, then that particular person can actually approach his PFA to get whatever he might have contributed into his RSA to sort himself out health-wise. Then if somebody is deceased, maybe for service, somebody died, then is NOK, that is a next of kin, or a legal representative can approach the PFA, after certain findings will have been done. The PFA is expected to actually find out from the office or from the employer of that deceased employee that whether it's truly the person has actually died. And then there will be what is also called what is it called, death certificate from a reputable, recognized or government recognized hospital or health institution. So those are the 4 provisions available in law for somebody to withdraw from his retirement savings account before service. Then after service, you have 3 other options, that is program withdrawal, which is the one you mentioned earlier, that people are now agitating for 25%. Even if you look at the time when we launched the book titled Understanding Pension Administration and Management in the Contemporary World on the 11th of December 2024.
This is a copy of
exactly the copy of the book. You could see an agitation from people, even some justices that were even around that time. They were agitating for that 50%, and whereas in this book is one of the recommendations that there should be an augmentation from that 25% to 50%, which is what the PENCOM has actually magnanimously done now. So because PENCOM was also actively involved when we were launching this book, so they had people's voices concerning taking that 25% higher to 50%, and they hearken to people's yearnings. And on the 21st of December or thereby, they brought out a circular stating that they have now actually they have yielded to people's a request to move it from 25% to 50%. So under the program withdrawal, you can actually take, if you have a 10 million naira as RSA balance in your account at retirement, so you have an opportunity to get as much as even 5 million out of them, so that the remaining 5 million will now be reserved for you as a pension on monthly basis or quarterly basis, as the case may be. Then we also have what is called annuity. Annuity is a financial product purchased through an insurance company. So if you want to go into annuity, then that's another option after retirement. Then we also have what is called en bloc payment. That is, this amount you have in your account is not that big enough, it's not that swollen enough to help you to get a monthly pension. So what the guideline actually leading to that, are you getting it? Is that initial guideline was 550,000. So if you have 550,000 in your account, then you will not be qualified for monthly pension. So what your PFA will just do, you just will ask for your account detail and pay the entire 550,000 into your account and go and live with it. But there's a new provision now from the pension authority, stating that it has to be 1/3, that is 1/3 of the current minimum wage. So now we have 70,000 current national minimum wage. So if you divide that 70,000 by 3, you get something like maybe 23,000, 3 or something like that. So if your pension at the end of the month will not be up to that 23,000, 3 or something, are you getting it? Then what the PFA will do is just to pay all what you have in your pension account. But if it will qualify you to be getting more than 1/3, up to 1/3 or more than 1/3 of current minimum wage, then you are qualified for monthly pension. So those are the 3 ways by which people withdraw after service.
There's one area that you mentioned. I think maybe before I lose a thought of it, let me quickly talk about the next of kin entitlement processing.
Okay.
Yes. What are the key process? I mean, to follow when the real holder of the account is no more, and of course the next of kin will have to follow through.
Thank you so much. It's a very fantastic
very
question.
Complex.
It's very complex. At the same time, you know, we have 2 key pension schemes in Nigeria. We have what is called defined benefit pension scheme and a contributory pension scheme, and the 2 of them have certain ways by which they treat NOK entitlements. You look at that of the defined benefit pension scheme, which is the old pension scheme. In line with Section 5, Section 1, Section B of Pension Reform Act 2014. So that one, there are 3 basic ways. We have the NOK entitlements of a pensioner who died in the line of duty, that is, who died in active service. And under the old pension scheme, it is called Section 6 NOK. Then we also have NOK entitlements of a pensioner that died in service, not in active service. So there's a difference between died in service and died in active service.
Okay, what's the difference? Active service and the operating order is active.
Yes. So the difference is that died in active service means that the person died accidentally in the line of duty.
Okay.
For instance, a policeman that was asked to guide some people, he was attacked on the way and all that. The issue of kidnapping, maybe the policeman or civil defense person wanted to go and rescue some victims. Along the line, he was killed and all that. So that is dying in line of duty.
Okay.
That is dying in active service.
Okay.
So the provision under the old pension scheme is that the NOKs, or let me say the children of such a deceased employee, will up to 6 children will be able to be placed on monthly pension up to the time they reach the age of 18.
Okay.
So when they reach the age of 18, then they'll be removed from pension payroll. So when they become an adult in terms of age 18, then the wife of that particular employee that died in active service will also be placed on monthly pension, so long as he doesn't remarry.
Okay.
So as long as he doesn't remarry. So once he remarries,
or if she remarries secretly without the knowledge of the pension.
We just have to work based on what we know or the information available to us. So if you are not aware too, God knows this. so that is how it is treated. But the one of died in service, that is that one, if somebody died naturally. So you say he was in the office on Friday, but on Monday he's no more, maybe because of sickness or the other. That one is different from dying in active service because nobody killed you in line of duty. So that one is categorized under what is called Section 5. And that Section 5 means the person's monthly pension will be calculated up to 60 months or 5 years. 60 months is the same thing as 5 years, together with his gratuity, be paid to the NOK.
Okay.
All
at once.
All at once.
Okay.
So that one is a one-off payment.
But in the event that you made mention of if an employee died in active service, yes, you use the policeman as an illustration.
Exactly.
And they say 6 of his children will be placed. Up
to 6 of the children will be placed on a monthly pension.
And the wife.
Until they reach the age of 18 years.
18 years old. Now what I'm saying is, what if the money in the retirement savings account is not enough to cater for the 6 children and the wife?
Under the old pension, it is the government that bears the brunt of the entire pension liability.
Okay, that is
it's not contributory.
Okay.
Under the defined benefit, you didn't contribute anything. Okay. So whatever that has to do with your pension and gratuity, it is the government that will bear the entire brunt.
Oh, okay. All right. Indeed, that's more clearer.
Then under the contributory pension scheme, we can have someone that also died in active service and someone that just dies naturally. In fact, the third one under the defined benefit pension scheme is that if somebody died after service, you have died and you have started receiving your pension, but along the line we just hear that the person is deceased. So under the defined benefit pension scheme, you pay the pensioner up to the period of death. So when the person dies, then his pension stops. So if the person has not actually enjoyed the monthly pension up to 5 years before dying, if it is 3 years, so the remaining 2 years you just have to calculate and give to his NOK or NOK. Next of kin.
What's the level of compliance? There is very impressive the way you explain it, but when I have an experience. My father was a civil servant with Ministry of Works. So when he passed away, it was more like a struggle for us to get his pension under the defined benefit scheme in Kogi State at the time. So why is the process somehow cumbersome?
That is why a book like this is very, very important for the general public to actually peruse. It is actually delineated
as understanding pension administration and management in Nigeria in the contemporary world.
Yes. Yeah. So it has actually explained this thing I'm talking about NOK, about section 5, section 6 and all that. So in that case, if somebody died maybe before, let me say 3 years after retirement, maybe he has already enjoyed 3 years of a pension. The remaining 2 years has to be calculated and given to his NOK. But what if somebody dies after 5 years? Ordinarily, there shouldn't be anything to be paid to that particular person, except arrears. Maybe within that 5 years, he was supposed to be paid, but one way or the other, system glitches and all that, they couldn't pay him part of his monthly pension or even gratuity. Then the NOK have an entitlement to arrears. But if there is no any arrears, if you have enjoyed 5 years of pension and gratuity while alive, there is nothing for you as far as defined benefit pension scheme is concerned, as far as old pension scheme is concerned.
Indeed, I'm getting to know quite a whole lot today.
Then, sir, under the contributory pension scheme, we have talked about 3 categories of NOK entitlement under the. Then under the contributory pension scheme, we also have categories like that. Those that died in active service and those that actually died naturally. So some that dies naturally, what the NOK is supposed to do is just to approach the PFA and say to, sorry, our man or our woman has died, or our parents, so they will now also carry out their own independent investigation. Because we have seen instances of some children that just want to collect money while the payers are here, like just to fabricate that. So it is the duty of a PFA to carry out an independent investigation about that, in terms of writing to the office or the employer or that deceased employee to confirm that the person is actually dead. Then what of the what is it called, death certificate from either a government recognized hospital or National Population Commission. So they need to do that as a PFA. Then at the same time, if somebody now dies in active service or in the line of duty, apart from the amount he has in his RSA balance, are you getting it? The one that died naturally, what the PFA is supposed to do is just to pay the NOKs, en bloc, the total amount he has in his RSA, that is retirement savings account. But in the case of someone who actually died in the line of duty, what they are supposed to do is to make sure that the amount in his RSA, that is retirement savings account, is paid to the deceased NOKs. At the same time, the employer or that particular deceased employee who died in active service, what they are supposed to do is also to pay a certain sum through what is called group life insurance. So they are supposed to also do that one for the NOK, and that one will not be done by the PFA, it will be done by the employer. Okay. Wow, that's quite educative there. Let's also look at
issues around how we can utilize senior citizens to productive activities. I mean, I saw that slide which you shared with me earlier. If my director can still put that slide there. I mean, it is quite, instructive. How can we put our senior citizens to very productive use? We've seen the Europeans doing it, the Americans are doing it. How can we begin to implement that here in Africa?
Thank you very, very much. This is a very good question. You know, the fact that you have spent up to 60 years as a retirement age, maybe in the case of a civil servant or public servant, the fact that you have spent 65 years as a teacher or a lecturer, or the fact that you have spent reached the retirement age of 70, or as a professor or as a chief justice, does not mean that all they are telling you is that you have retired, then you have not seen yourself as being tired. No, because after retirement, whatever you might have actually acquired in terms of experience, in terms of exposure, in terms of knowledge, is still there residing in you, and the society still needs it. What our senior citizens are supposed to do is to make sure that if you are a teacher of English or mathematics or any other subject, then attach yourself to one Samuel class or classes. They still need that your experience.
Absolutely.
They still need that your knowledge. They still need that your exposure. They still need that your guide. And you will not be doing it on a pro bono basis. You do it to earn something.
Exactly. In that way, you will not just be relying on pension payment.
No. You will not be relying on pension payment alone. So the pension payment will be there, whereas this other secondary income will be there for you. So you'll be able to be paid either stipends or honorarium. Right. You can even be delivering, papers here and there. You'll be getting, as a teacher, a retired teacher or lecturer, you'll be getting something. And at the same time, your brain will continue to be active. Your brain will continue to remain fresh, because you continue to make use of it, instead of condemning yourself to one corner of your house, sitting at home. The same thing with a retired medical doctor. You can attach yourself to one hospital. That hospital still needs your experience. That hospital still needs your knowledge. And you get paid for it.
So our servicemen too, as soldiers,
police, they can also do the same thing and help us in tackling insecurities in the country. So if you look at China, for instance, if you retire at the age of 60, you will still have the opportunity of attaching yourself to one institution or the other.
Indeed.
Or to one, in fact, we have some civil societies that actually carry out that. They just look at senior citizens and those that can actually dish out to, then they feed them into one sector or the other.
In strategic places, they give them that due respect for their knowledge and everything.
Exactly, sir. And they continue to remain relevant there, and they will continue to be earning one stipend or honorarium or the other. Apart from that, you can acquire new skills in IT, new skills even in catering services.
Even that can even be done even while in service.
Exactly.
So that you fall back on it when you retire.
So we need to continue to educate ourselves in such a way that we will not be relying only on pension. But if we rely only on pension, like in China, they will tell you it is not adequate for them. And so that is about that.
That's quite a whole lot now. But there is one aspect of pension that I actually want us to also look at, talking about the informal sector of the economy. I mean, what you call now, I'm trying to remember the name now, when artisans, traders can indeed, who are not, employed by any specific organization or corporation, can be factored into a pension contribution. Talking about CPS now in this regard. I mean, tell us, how is this? Is it thriving? Because as at the last check, the number of contributors were quite few.
You are very, very right. If look at the demographic analysis of Nigerian working population, you see that the people that are in the informal sector of the economy, they are up to 70%. They are up to 70%. So, which means they are the ones that even carry the large chunk of, the population of the Nigeria labor force. So, which means the remaining one is just about 30%, spread across maybe federal civil service, state civil service, and local government civil service. But majority of the people that we have in the informal sector of the economy, they are actually, they are in their unions compared with. So what we need to do is to, what you are trying to actually mention is a micro pension plan.
Micro mention.
So micro pension plan actually covers the self-employed individuals and those companies with less than 3 employees. They are also covered under the micro pension plan, as well as the traders, artisans, bricklayers, tilers, and they are covered under the micro pension plan. That you, as a person, it doesn't necessarily mean that you must be working with government before you start earning pension. You can be saving 1 or 2 things, a certain amount of your income towards retirement, because whether we like it or not, at some point in time in our life, these our bones will become so weak that will not be able to work. Whether you are a trader, you are a businessman, you are a tiler, you are a bricklayer or carpenter, at some point in time in our life, our bones will tell us enough is enough. But if you have saved certain proportion of your income through this micro pension plan, then you would have been able to have something to fall back upon.
Absolutely.
And
but the situation in the economy is making it difficult for this group of people to save. Many of them are living from hand to mouth on daily basis.
But do you know that it depends on you? You may even save as small as 1,000, 2,000. You can be saving on a daily basis, unlike the other mandatory pension system. This one is voluntary. And the fact that it's voluntary means that it's so flexible. You can be saving on a daily basis. If 30,000 will be hard for you to cover out on a monthly basis, you can be saving on a daily basis, maybe 1,000 naira. If it is weekly, you can say, okay, 7,000 on a weekly basis. Then on monthly, so it depends on you. It depends on how convenient it is for you. And if you want to see withdraw from whatever you must have saved, then the law also allows that. You can take as much as 40% of whatever you want to actually you might have saved under what is called emergency withdrawal.
Indeed.
Or contingency withdrawal, so to speak, contingency withdrawal. So the remaining 60% will now be left for your retirement benefits.
Indeed. All right. We'll talk more about this topic. Very, very critical. We'll look at the issue of improvements in processing pension in Nigeria, which a lot of Nigerians want to know. And of course, we'll look at how states can also participate more in the contributing pension scheme. We have a lot of states that are not doing that. We'll do that after this very short break. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. It's still Business Daily right here, and I still have Dr. Imran Saheed right here with me in the studio. Quickly now, before we wrap up the conversation now, let's look at issues around how to improve in terms of processing pensions in Nigeria. I mean, I have had cause to interact with people who want to collect their 25%, and also those who are demanding for like 50%, or even some retirees who are, collecting their pension. Many of them said the process somehow is too cumbersome. I mean, you have someone ask you to go to your formal employer to go and get a letter that will reflect your date of birth, when in actual fact you have your date of birth and everything written even on your international passport, on your national ID card, and so many of them. Why do you need to have to go through that process? To collect 25%, when all your details are already with the pension commission? Why can't they work with that? Do I have to go and meet my employer, who was probably not the one that gave birth to me, to tell the pension industry what my date of birth is?
Thank you so much, sir. I think I also appreciate this very germane question in terms of the improvements or otherwise in pension processing in Nigeria. I think if you ask me, I would say there is a positive improvement, because if you want to know whether something has improved or not, look at where you have actually started. If you look at our pension system before the year 2004, when it was riddled with corruption, when it was riddled with administrative inefficiencies, when it was riddled with being highly unregulated. But with the enactment of the pension reform in 2004, it has actually improved the pension system. Now, the pension reform act 2014 too, which has also insisted some pension offices like a pension transition directory, PTAD, and military pension board, and the offices for the payment of or in charge of pensions of DSS and national security and national intelligence, as well as judicial officers of the court of record. You see that there have been a lot of improvements. But what I do say is that the only room that I see very much open in the world is a room for improvement. And we'll continue to, and that is also one of the essence of this book of the publication. You will see, it will show you where we have started, where we are. Where we have started, we are talking of maybe 2004, then where we are after 2 decades, that after 20 years, then where we are supposed to be. If you see this book, it contains a lot of recommendations relating to pension system improvement in Nigeria. So concerning what you mentioned specifically about NOK entitlement, or even pension withdrawals and certain documents. What we are seeing in the pension industry is infiltration of scammers. In fact, one person approached me about 4 or 5 days ago. Before you could get back, before you could get in touch with me, they have already duped me with a sum of 250,000 naira. And this is somebody in his 70s, a retiree. They just called him and started promising, you have one gratuity entitlement, you have pension entitlement to the sum of 14-16 million naira. So don't worry, we are working on it, but do this amount because we want to start processing. If you don't act fast, then we will return the money to CBN. And the man, out of curiosity, he just gave them the money. So we are seeing many instances of scammers, affecting adversely our pensioners. So that is why you see we want to authenticate certain documents from certain set of people coming up as people entitled to one pension money or the other. So they will now say, okay, go to your former office, give us a letter of introduction stating that truly you are when you are retiring, you retire on grade level 8 step this, or when you retire, your date of birth is this, because you can read affidavit. You can see some people have up to 5 or 6 affidavits, different affidavits.
All right. I think that answers my question. Just before we wrap up quickly, I want us to touch on this issue around state government not participating in CPS. If we can do that in 60 seconds, how we can make many of them who are still holding on to the old defined benefit scheme to, migrate to CPS.
I think what I will just say basically about that is to commend the effort of the pension authority.
Talking about PENCOM.
Yeah,
there has been a lot of commendation for PENCOM.
Exactly, because they are started going from door to door, moving from one state to another, sermonizing them, sensitizing them, creating awareness about the need for them to key into this contributory pension scheme. Because as at the moment, it's only 11 out of 36 states of the federation that have keyed into the contributory pension scheme. And it has a lot of advantages in terms of absorbing unemployed graduates into the pension scheme. Because when you have about 3 or 4 requirements for setting up contributory pension scheme at state level. So if you have finished with that of maybe a legal framework, then you move to administrative structure. And under the administrative structure, then you'll be able to establish what is called pension bureau. The pension bureau in your state will actually employ people from management level up to the lowest level of employment in that place, including cleaners and those are the people that will come from your state. So you can see the advantage even to state governments when they establish a contributing pension scheme. All
right, I want to thank you quite a whole lot that you have said, and of course more can actually be gotten from this book, Understanding Pension Administration and Management in the Contemporary World. It's written by Dr. Saheed Adekule Imran. Of course, all pensioners need this kind of book for them to be able to understand quite a whole lot of intrigues in the pension industry. I must thank you, Dr. Imran Saheed, pension management professional, and of course an author as well. I must thank you for the time of business.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, that is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akogu.